Well, hello everybody. It's really good to be here again in our series on biblical treasures. And today I have with me Pam Weaver. And hi, Pam.
Hello.
And I'm just going to ask her a few questions to tell us more about herself before I ask her the big question about what she would do when times are rough. So, Pam, first of all, could you perhaps tell us three words that describe yourself?
Oh, I think I will go with a nursery nurse, and then I became a full-time mum, and then I became an author.
Very tantalizing. Need to know more at some point. That's great. So, this series, we've been looking at where we go to in the Bible or what we do in our lives when things come to trouble us. So, yeah, just going to ask you that question. So, Pam, where would you go? What would you do when times are difficult?
Well, some people have a Bible verse that they always go to and find comfort from that. I can't really say that I've got one particular Bible verse that I always choose because usually I may have a uh, trouble A, for instance, and then I find a scripture which is very applicable to that situation. And the next time I have a trouble B, I want a completely different verse. So I can't really say this is my verse that I always go to. But I've got a feeling myself that whenever I get scared, whenever I've got scared or panicky or worried about something, it's simply because I've lost sight of Jesus. And it's very easy for us to feel deserted or alone. And basically, that is simply not a true fact. That is never true because his, I believe the Bible from end to end, everything in it. And there's a verse in Hebrews 13, verse 5, which says, "Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you." And that's precious to me because I know that doesn't matter what I'm going through, and like everybody else, I've been through stuff in my life. Um, the Lord is with me. I may not be able to see him or feel him, but he is still there. And many years ago now, um, I worked in a premature baby unit, and I hated it, absolutely hated it from day one. But I was contracted to do a year there, and I pretty soon found out that the sister just had it in for me. I don't know why, but people did remark about it. So it wasn't just me being paranoid. She was, she just had it in for me. So it made it really, really difficult. And I decided, well, I'm going. I'm not staying here to be treated like this. But I was contracted. I was a Christian, and I felt, I've made a promise. I've got to stay for this year. But I just could not face it. And I read this book called The Practice of the Presence of God, which was about a man, or it was written by a man, a 16th century Carmelite monk, actually, far, far removed from my experience. But he loved the outdoors and wanted to love God and follow God. And they put him in the kitchen. Well, Brother Lawrence hated cooking. He was big and he was clumsy, so he was always dropping stuff and getting into trouble. And he really, really wanted to get out of the kitchen. It really spoke to me because that was exactly where I was. And what he did, he practiced the presence of Jesus. So he would talk to Jesus all through the day, and everything he did for Jesus. So if he was making something, cooking something, he was cooking it for Jesus, not for the brothers, but for the Lord. And I thought, I'm going to do that in this particular place where I was working. So everything I did, I said in my mind, I'm not doing this for sister or for anyone else. I'm doing it for Jesus. And it actually, right at the very end of my stay there, as a matter of fact, somebody said to me, "Oh, you'll be really sad to leave, won't you?" And I thought, what? You know, I had about 10 days left there. And if they'd said to me, "You can go now," I'd have gone. I'd have been on the next train. But I said to her, why do you say that? And she said, "Well, you never stop singing. You're always singing." And I was doing it for the Lord. So I was singing choruses and hymns and whatever, but just praising the Lord as I was working, as I was working. So that whole idea really, really worked for me, as it did for Brother Lawrence. And I've tried to do that all my life. So when I've had a trouble, a difficulty, and not just that, when I've enjoyed myself, the Lord is here with me. He's promised he's never going to leave me, never going to forsake me. So I draw him in and talk to him about whatever it is. And for me, that's what works when I have a time of trouble.
That is a wonderful truth, isn't it? And something that we can really hold on to in difficult times.
Yeah.
But we can't see Jesus, we can't feel him sometimes, but we can know that he's promised to be with us at all times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there have been moments in my life, I can't say I'm doing it all the time, but there have been moments in my life when I've thought, if I could turn my head really quickly, I might see the edge of his cloak, or I might see his hand. He just feels so close. And sometimes I feel like he's beside me. Other times I feel he's in front of me and I'm following him. And then there are times when I feel he's got my back. But it's just wonderful to know that that verse, I come back to that verse that he said, never, never, never will I leave you. Never will I forsake you. So he keeps his promises.
Thank you, Pam. And that verse is Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 5 for anyone who wants to look it up for themselves. But thank you, Pam, for sharing that. It's a wonderful image that you've painted there, and something that we can really hold on to in these times of pandemic, when life is not what we want it to be, but to know that Jesus is with us every step of the way.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And goodbye.
Bye-bye.